Awesome, thanks so much. So first off, really excited that all of you are here in our beautiful space. Really happy that we've totally packed the 5th floor. Again, thanks so much for coming out and visiting the Blend office, as well as participating in this vibrant fintech community. So one of the things that we're really excited to have all of you here to share in our journey is about the future of real estate. I think thanks so much to Rex for that wonderful introduction. I think it really speaks to the amount of pain that exists within real estate. Personally, this matters to me a ton just because both of my parents are real estate agents. And so it's a really big deal for me. But it's also a really big deal for all of these American consumers, right? Because think about it. In terms of owning a home, that's really the way that you generate wealth here in the United States. And being able to own that home, that's the largest financial transaction you're ever going to make. And so I love how all of us kindred spirits are here to really learn more about how can we all tackle this problem and really make real estate a lot better. So just in terms of where I'm going to be focusing today, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about our integrated mortgage experience. And so I think Rex called out a lot of really amazing points around how painful it is to do a mortgage. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about how Blend is currently innovating to dive into areas that may not at first glance look like they're related to the mortgage, but are actually really deeply interrelated, and show you how by being really innovative and creative, we can actually provide a much better borrower experience, which again goes back to the person, the homeowner, the person who wants to be able to buy that home and move their family in. We're going to make that process a lot easier, and so that's really kind of the core focus of today's talk. So just in terms of how I'm going to be structuring kind of my section, first I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Blend. And then from there, tell you a bit more about home insurance, what it is, why we care about it. And then on top of that, tell you about the way that Blend builds products and how that led to our outside success in dealing with homeowners insurance, as well as within the integrated mortgage space. Then on top of that, I'd like to give you just a little sneak peek about where we're headed with Blend kind of on this path, and then just leave some time for Q&A. OK, awesome. So first off, what is Blend? Well, of course, it's this gorgeous building with all of you here again. But really what we are is we're an intuitive borrower mortgage application. And so kind of each of these words have been really carefully selected to really show what it is that we provide to the lending ecosystem and to real estate. Sorry about that. And so in terms of what that means, we're enabling borrowers to work with the brands that they already know and love. And so say, for example, that a borrower is working with Wells Fargo, or they might be working with US Bank. We're enabling them to be able to work with these really large lenders or with local credit unions to have a much better mortgage experience. So instead of them having to go in branch and then have to line up and then be asked these really invasive questions and then go through all of this arcane document collection, we're pulling all of that together into this one integrated experience that contextually asks the borrower in a really conversational way, what is it that you're looking to do? How can we best help you? And then from there, just make that mortgage process a lot easier. So instead of it taking 2-3 weeks for you to be able to get all of the data that you need for a loan officer to help you with your mortgage application, it takes you 30 minutes, right? And kind of down here, this is kind of our mobile responsive view of Blend. Here's kind of our mock bank emblem. And so you don't see the Blend logo here. This is all about emblem, really about empowering the borrower to trust that institution that they've been working with for their lives, right? Because again, people create this long-term relationship with their financial institutions, and we understand that. We explicitly did not decide to go out and become a full-stack lender because we know that it takes a lot of trust for the borrower to say, I'm willing to go with this lender and do like the biggest financial transaction of our life. So we really care about impact. We really care about enabling borrowers to have that really amazing experience. So we've partnered with some of the leading institutions as well as some local institutions to really enable borrowers to have this much better experience. And speaking about the other side of that platform, we're enabling loan officers and other lender users to really be able to work with the borrower in such a way where the borrower has a much easier time. So instead of getting bogged down into the processes, into the mastery of the software, it's all about service, right? We're teaching them, how can you collaborate together? How can you be more intelligent with your processes? How can you be more efficient? And on top of that, just being really obsessed with the homeowner, the consumer. And so just to talk a little bit more about kind of both sides of this platform, right, the Blend platform, in terms of how we serve borrowers, it's all about creating guided, intuitive, and connected flow. So what does each of those words mean? In terms of a guided flow, for mortgages, a lot of it is a lot of really complex financial jargon a lot of it is to really protect the lender in terms of compliance. Whereas we want to use plain English. We know that mortgages are really complex. They take a really long time. And so we want to be able to guide the borrower through this process, whether it's their very first time doing a mortgage or whether they've done a mortgage a couple of times. On top of that, it's intuitive. And so throughout the process of applying for this mortgage, we're pulling together questions in a way that builds trust throughout the process. And so one really good example is it's actually a required question on your mortgage application to identify your ethnicity for fair lending purposes. And the thing is, if you come up front and you say, oh, well, ethnicity are you, right? Like as soon as you start an application, that's a little bit weird. In terms of the way that we've been working alongside our borrowers and our lenders, we've really thought deeply about how do you sequence all of these questions in this entire process so that you're building trust throughout. And then on top of that, we layer in connectivity. So instead of the borrower having to go back and try to dig up all of these documents, based on the information that the borrower has provided to us, we can then enable them to go reach out to third-party sources to then go verify the information that they've pulled in. So for example, instead of me having to go find my W-2, I can just, through Blend, connect directly to different tax form providers to be able to pull all that information in. And on top of that, Blend provides an omni-channel presence for the borrower. And so what that means is, borrowers are, they come in all shapes and sizes, right? There are people who are much older, people who are much younger, people who have different life goals. And so we enable borrowers to work with their lending institutions over the phone, in person, on a computer or on their smartphone. And so we really want to be there for the borrower kind of however they want to work. And we enable them to shift in between these channels really seamlessly. So that's really the experience that we're providing the borrower, the consumer, to make that mortgage process a lot better. And in terms of how we're serving the lender, we have intelligent automation. And so what we do is we're looking at the borrower's application as it comes in to kick off the next sets of workflows that we know are going to be coming. So for example, let's say I have a pension income, right? One of the things that a lender is going to need is a pension award letter to actually go and verify that, oh, you do actually have that pension income. And so instead of waiting for the loan officer to ask the borrower to get the data to then be able to ask for the document, we already know that the borrower has stated, I have pension income. And so we can directly ask them, hey, go ahead and upload your pension award letter as soon as you finish the application. And it just cuts down the time to close really quickly, right? So it's things like this where we're really making the experience a lot more seamless and really automating a lot of these processes together. And then on top of that, how we're serving lenders, a lot of it is just simply centralizing and enabling them to collaborate. So one of the key challenges of kind of a world without Blend is you might have people trying to coordinate over email. You have very fragmented views of the borrower. Some people might see the doc, some people might not see the doc, some people have information, some people don't. Whereas we pull all of this information together into one single platform so that they can all work together on servicing the borrower rather than struggling with all of these different integrated suites of software. So that's really what it is that we're providing on both the borrower side and the lender side. In terms of who we're currently working with, we're really humbled and privileged to be working with more than 25%, honestly, of all the mortgages within the United States. And so here are a couple of the logos that we currently are working with. And that just really goes to show that by being really focused on the borrower and by thinking about how can we reimagine this experience, we've actually gained a lot of traction and are providing a much better experience so that it doesn't take you so long to be able to apply for that mortgage, just so that you can finally go shop for homes and be able to move into that dream home and reach those financial goals that you're looking at. And so just to talk a little bit more about home insurance, so I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what it is and kind of why it is that we care. So basically, home insurance is something that a lender needs from a borrower, because if you think about it, when a borrower is going to get a mortgage, what they're saying is, I'm going to give this lender the promise of the property, and then they're going to give me money so that I can go ahead and buy some portion of the property. And if, let's say, the property is set on fire and unfortunately loses all of its value, then the lender is holding an asset that no longer has any value. And so lenders ask borrowers to get home insurance really to protect the lender. And it's a really key document for the mortgage to fund. But in thinking about a world without Blend today, where you don't have this homeowner's insurance within your mortgage experience, what happens is a lender then tells a borrower, oh, by the way, I need to make sure that you have home insurance. Then the borrower says, what? I need home insurance? So then they go online, they go look for quotes. It's a really fragmented experience where they then get called by a bunch of agents and they don't necessarily know how to compare all these different things. It takes them weeks and weeks and weeks to complete just to be able to knock out this one document. And that creates a lot of pain. That creates a lot of time within the process that, again, the borrower, the buyer, right, and also the lender could have been using to achieve other goals. And so why is it that we care, right? Like Blend is all about enabling the mortgage application. Well, the thing is, we actually really care about driving out friction throughout the entire mortgage application process. And so today, we're working with more than 85,000 loans per month, and that means there's a gigantic opportunity for us to take that friction out of the process by pulling in that by pulling in that homeowner's insurance experience. The thing is, in terms of getting a getting a homeowner's insurance quote, Blend is already collecting the vast majority of that data, and so it only takes us a couple more steps to be able to solve for both the borrower and the lender. And on top of that, we care about people, not just transactions, and our customers are serving people, right? So, even though yes, homeowners insurance is not, strictly a transaction that is, directly on the mortgage, it's part of that entire mortgage process. It's part of you being able to make it into your new home, and so that's fair game for us, and we want to be able to change that. So, with that background, what is that we did, and how did we build to create this better experience? We always build with our customers. We always build in partnership. And that's because we know that our customers are great at some things that we just simply won't know, right? I mean, they've been in business for so long. They really understand that mortgage industry, homeowners insurance industry. And the thing is, of course, we very much understand the design. We very much understand the engineering, the information security, et cetera. But we really want to partner with our customers because they're going to drive us to a much better product, all in service of the borrower, the home buyer, right? And then on top of that, we really want to make sure that we're working with customers who understand the immediacy of impact. Perfect is the enemy of good. And so we want to make sure that we can get something out there to start making a better experience now, then learn from it so that we can keep iterating on that process and create a much better experience over time. So how did we actually build the mortgage insurance product within Blend? So first off, we did a lot of digging. A lot of qualitative interviews, a lot of shadowing, a lot of quantitative data crunching. And one of the things that we really found is, hey, it's not like lenders don't think about, oh, I could offer homeowners insurance. It's just that it's not great for a lender to say, oh, let me also give you homeowners insurance because that's potentially predatory, right? Like you don't want to preclude the borrower from being able to get a mortgage by then forcing them to get homeowners insurance from you. And so we knew early on that we need to surface, this third-party experience within Blend, but ensure that it's seamless. Then on top of that, getting really scrappy. The thing is, we know that borrowers are going to want to look for quotes from multiple providers in finding a homeowner's insurance policy that's going to work for them. But really, we wanted to first understand, are we going to be able to provide a much better experience than what's currently out there? And so we said, you know what, we're going to take just one engineer, we're going to be super scrappy, we're just going to put one provider out there, let's see what the results are, right? Like there are lots of ways in which we can get things done. Let's prototype, let's MVP, let's get things out the door. And then once it was out in the wild, we worked really closely again with borrowers and with lenders to iterate. We learned so much throughout this entire process, and that enabled us to know kind of how are we going to build out this roadmap to really build this seamless experience that ensures that the borrower can really easily complete this mortgage, and on top of that, that homeowner's insurance policy without feeling like it's like a fragmented set of products. So that's all one integrated experience. So what are the results? So once we had released the homeowner insurance product, now borrowers, once they complete that mortgage application, they can very easily say, oh yeah, I already have a homeowner's insurance policy, let me provide that to you. Or they can say, oh, I actually don't have one, help me out here. Then Blend will be able to surface these quotes to the borrower and enable them to actually secure that policy right within the Blend experience, and then provide that homeowner's insurance policy directly to the lender right there. It all happens within kind of one single point. And it's just a lot more delightful rather than them having to leave the platform and having to do all of this rate searching on their own. And then on top of that, we've enabled our customers to provide a much better experience. Think about all of the lenders who aren't currently using Blend. They have borrowers who have to go out and do this really fragmented experience. Our lender partners, our lender customers, they are able to differentiate themselves based on this seamless experience, and they trust us to bring more and more into that integrated mortgage experience so that we're always working on making the future better for the borrower, again, so that they can move into that home that they're really, really dreaming about. And so just to give you a quick taste of kind of what it is that we're going to be doing next, based on the findings that we had here within homeowners insurance, we really learned that the borrower is in the center of a lot of different transactions at once when they're trying to get the mortgage to close. And so it's not just the mortgage. There's homeowners insurance, there's title, there's appraisal, there's close. And all of these things cost the borrower time, attention, effort, friction. We don't want that. Blend is all about being borrower first. And so by focusing on the borrower and by redesigning flows really creatively, really thoughtfully, we're confident that we can bring in more of these and kind of surface all of them into one integrated mortgage experience so that, again, the borrower can move into their dream home, the lender can continue to provide that amazing service without getting bogged down by software, processes, et cetera, so that we can keep moving forward towards our vision, which I just wanted to share with you here. The Blend vision is all about powering a frictionless, compliant, and more accessible consumer lending ecosystem. And I think it's really important that we call it that we're looking at the entire ecosystem here, where we really want to enable all of us to be moving forward. And so that's, again, why I'm so happy that all of you are here to be sharing in this journey with us. We think it takes a lot of creativity to keep pushing the bounds and to enable borrowers, buyers to have that much better experience in terms of being able to get into that dream home of theirs. And with that, I'm going to wrap up here and open the floor to questions. Thanks so much. Question up here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. You mentioned that you guys do a lot of iterating, looking at data. Do you have any interesting stories of things that shocked you when you looked at the data, what consumers actually wanted or how they were using the product?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So unfortunately, I wasn't the kind of core product manager advancing our homeowners insurance experience, but I can tell you that a lot of the time you do see very interesting experiences happen where sometimes borrowers would much prefer, for example, a loan officer to intervene and to help them out rather than kind of doing things on their own. But in other cases, borrowers would much prefer not to speak with someone and just get it done on their own. And so that's always a really interesting line for us to think about and really providing that optionality to the borrower. I think another thing is just keeping in mind that there are borrowers of all different sorts, all different kinds, and they're doing a lot of different kinds of transactions. And so it's just making sure that we keep all of those cases in mind as we move forward with the product. I think it's just something that's really interesting as we iterate. And we're always looking at how do we cut the data and how do we interview a broad representative base so that we ensure that we're building something that does work across the entire ecosystem. Great question. Yeah. Do you want to?
Hi. So it sounds like you are working with the lender to make the mortgage process more efficient, but you're also touching home insurance. How are you looking at the entire transaction to make that more efficient, such as the title insurance and the property tax and closing?
Yeah, so I actually touched on that a little bit at the end. Great question. One of the things that we are currently exploring is, how can we bring in even more of these processes given our experiences in homeowners insurance? Again, to pull all of that in and to make that really integrated, really seamless, so that again, the borrower isn't thinking about, oh, well, I have this transaction, that transaction, this other thing. It's all just one seamless flow of, oh, of course I'm going to be working through this piece, right? Giving them that visibility and giving them that transparency is something that we really care deeply about, and we're going to be tackling over the next couple of quarters. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much.